Fox Business Alert, it's cane-firmed. Get it? Cane-firmed. Coca-Cola announcing that starting this fall, it will introduce a new line of its trademark cola products sweetened with U.S. cane sugar versus corn syrup. The unveiling comes after President Trump just posted on Truth Social last week that the beverage maker had agreed to start using cane sugar in its Coke drinks sold in the U.S. Joining me now live, Coca-Cola Chairman and CEO James Quincey. James, this launch could be bigger than the iPhone 17 or the foldable or something like that. I mean, it's a brand new line. It is not a revamp of the current recipe. How long has the idea been in the works to bring back cane sugar sweetened Coke to the U.S.?
Well, it's one of those ideas that's been bouncing around for a time, but it's not really taken shape and form until we got into this year and actually said, you know what, maybe the idea, it's one of those ideas whose time has come. So we've been working on it during the year, and as we announced, we're coming in the fall, so we're almost there. I loved your pun on cane firmed, by the way. That was good.
My team and I came up with that this morning for our banner, cane firmed. But when you say it's almost there, so you've been creating, and are you now at the testing phase of the recipe?
Well, I thought you might ask. So I brought this. I brought a prop.
Okay.
This is from the pilot run in the plant. So this is a real bottle with the real product, sweetened by cane sugar. So we're at the stage of doing test runs in the manufacturing. So you can tell from that we're right at the last stages of scaling up for industrial scale production, because of course we've got to produce a lot of bottles and put it all together and package it up. So we're just in the process now of creating the industrial scaling plan, and so the commercial launch will be out there in the fall. So it's almost there. It'll be great fun to launch.
When you say almost there and fall, is that late September, early October, mid-October?
Well, the industrial engineers would never let me set a firm date at this stage. They need to make sure that it scales up. But we're definitely in the fall. It'll definitely be fun at the launch. So we're almost there, and we're just kind of trying to iron out the last details.
Okay, now I need to know perhaps one of the most important details. What's it going to be called?
That's a good question, actually. That is one of the things we are just finalizing, what to put on the front, where to put that it says U.S. cane sugar, just so everyone's clear what's in which bottles and cans. So there are a couple of details that are left to be, I's to be dotted, T's to be crossed, if you let me put it that way. So the final name will be part of the It may end up being just original taste, and then just say underneath U.S. cane sugar, although marketing is trying to get more creative. We will have to wait and see in these last few weeks.
Can you hold up that test bottle? And you're saying that the liquid in there is pretty much what's going to be the final product.
The liquid in there is what it's going to be. The only thing we're finalizing is the exact labeling and what it says, but the liquid itself is what it's going to be. So that gives you a sense that we're very close.
Okay, so I asked my Twitter followers, because I got some smart ones, if they could come up with some names. And here's what some of them like. Some just said, name it Coca-Cola. Others said Coke Throwback, Coca-Cola Rad, like rad, that's so rad. And then there's one, and they spell Coca, K-O-C-A, Coca-Cola, because the word Coca, K-O-C-A, is Hawaiian for sugar.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That I did not know.
Neither did I.
That's an interesting.
Man, I hope they're right. You never know on Twitter.
Yeah, I might have to check it before I use it. But actually, I quite like just the Coca-Cola. I mean, it's got a certain simplicity about it. But we'll let the marketing team do the run around the lap, and then we'll see what they end up with.
Yeah, I get it. But when you know, we need to know too. It was interesting because when we were talking about it this morning, some of my team members who are way hipper than I am said, people refer to Coke with cane sugar that's made in Mexico as Mexican Coke. And we bought some at Chipotle across the street in Midtown Manhattan, actually carries so-called Mexican Coke because it has the cane sugar in it. Have you found that people much prefer the cane sugar taste, and what does that mean for the high fructose fans?
Well, the Mexican Coke, as you call it, actually does come from Mexico. We've been importing it for a number of years, and I think really, actually, I mean, it's got a much more heritage shape to the bottle. It's a glass bottle. It's a heritage shape. I think it's got a more retro look. And then obviously when it first came to the US, it tended to be with people of Hispanic origin. Then it got kind of trendy as well. And so there's a tremendous mythology that's been created around what is it sweetened with. Actually, part of the mythology also wraps in what containers it in. Some people like the glass bottle, some people like the can, some people like it poured in the glass, lots of ice, little ice. So everyone's got their version of which is the best Coke, which is in a way part of the magic of the brand, that you can engage in such an intense debate about something where the liquid is basically the same. But I don't want to unpack the mythology too much.
Listen, the fact is that people perceive that cane sugar is healthier. We have Health and Human Services Director RFK Jr. saying that he wants all kinds of dyes taken out of foods and we want more natural products. But I'm just interested to know how you're going to source this, because right now the United States produces less cane sugar than you guys probably need to create enough of the product for the United States. So have you been in contact with, and I'm just thinking because I've covered the sugar industry, Florida Crystals, which is owned by Pepe Fanjul of the Dominican Republic, and they manufacture here. Are you already trying to work with suppliers to ramp up their potential to supply you guys?
Absolutely, we've worked with the US-based suppliers of the cane sugar firstly to make sure we've got enough cane sugar to support the launch, not just this year, but going into next year. And you know, as this grows, and actually it's not the first product we've used with cane sugar in the US. We have a number of our ready-to-drink teas, some of our lemonades, some of our coffee drinks, vitamin water. So there's a number of drinks where it's already got cane sugar in. So we've been offering the consumers more choice, and certainly our experience in life is if there's pull from the consumer, the supply chain, not just us, but all the way back down into agriculture, will bring to the market enough supply to keep it all going. So we think if it works for the consumer, it'll work for everyone.
You came out with earnings, and you had some nice metrics. And then, of course, you look at some of the other metrics when it comes to sodas, et cetera. It's kind of flat. And then you see some increase, certainly in Coke Zero, which has become hugely popular. I'm very interested to know, when you model for this, well, retro version of Coke. I like Coke Retro, but it's not really retro, but Coke Retro.
Heritage?
Okay, yes, it's very, very chic to say heritage. Whatever it is, have you modeled for the fact that per pound, and I know that people say, well, corn syrup is actually in gallons, but it actually is denominated in both pounds and gallons, that it's less expensive than cane sugar. So will cane sugar usage impact your bottom line in the future?
It is true that in the U.S. market, cane sugar is more expensive than the corn syrup for a whole variety of reasons. But actually, when you look at the total P&L of the corporation, and we're going to put it in the small bottle packages like the one I just showed, actually we think we're going to be able to have a really attractive commercial proposition, and we don't see it driving a major disruption over time in our financial model or in the company's overall model. Yeah, it'll be a little more costly to manufacture, and we think the marketplace supports that in a way, much as it does with the Mexican Coke imports. But we think it's all manageable, and I think there's going to be, the supply will come on, and if the demand's there, it's going to be a win-win for investment and growth and jobs.
You raised your full-year forecast for organic revenue growth. As we think about what's on tap for not just the second half of the year, because that's going to be the big launch, I'm quite sure. What about in the future? Prebiotic sodas are very popular. You guys have come out with Simply Pop back in February, I believe. Pepsi went ahead and bought the prebiotic sodas of Poppi, and then they launched their own. They'll be releasing a prebiotic cola after acquiring Poppi. So how popular could this become, this trend of prebiotic?
I wish I knew the answer to that one. I think it's going to be just a question of consumer acceptance and consumer preference. They do have a different taste profile relative to regular sodas or other juice drinks. And so they're a little more of a niche taste. But I think there's a place and a role for all sorts of different ingredients, including prebiotics and fiber-based inclusions to the drinks. And then people will get the chance to choose whether they want the absolute taste that they want or some functional benefit in the drink. And that's the kind of what's interesting about the beverage industry, because it's lots of categories, lots of innovation, lots of competition that actually keeps the industry growing and provides lots of opportunity.
The cans. You've come out with these name cans. Oh, by just chance, I have a Liz can customized. I think that this idea, whoever came up with it, is actually very creative, because randomly people are finding their own names in cases of this stuff. My assistant's name is Bailey. Her dad bought a case, and suddenly the name Bailey was in there, which I thought was so random and so fascinating. But you're doing it in Europe. Some of them simply say bro or sis. Who came up with this idea? And again, when we go back to the actual can issue, the cost of aluminum. I know that you have said that the effect from tariffs is not that big a deal, but you do source your aluminum from Canada. Are you looking to source it now from U.S. suppliers, whether it be, I don't know, Kaiser Aluminum, Alcoa?
So going in reverse order, yeah, we bring in some aluminum from Canada. Actually, we use the US-made aluminum too, so we get a mix of it. And I think as we manage the total P&L, obviously there's, if it comes under tariffs or not, but then there's what's happening to the underlying commodity, what's happening to foreign exchange, what's happening to the total P&L. As you know, you make a budget for the year, and the only thing that's true is it won't be exactly that. There'll be some pluses and minuses. And so within the overall business, we've been able to manage the impact of all the movements, including some of the small effects from tariffs as it relates to our business. Because in the end, the drinks in the US are largely made in the US, not just by US workers in US factories, but with US inputs too. And so we're not heavily exposed to international trade, which is one of the great strengths of the Coke system. And that's what really helps us drive the business forward. And I think that's the key part of understanding the Coke system.
I know you've been asked this over and over, but you ever think of going into actual food and snack business? Obviously, Pepsi is very involved in that. Are you just simply staying with the beverages?
Almost invariably. I mean, on the one hand, I say never, because I always want the organization to come up with new ideas and not to be bound in by rules by the corporation. But from a purely practical point of view, we're great at beverages. We know what we're doing. And there's lots of opportunity to keep growing in the beverage industry. Why would I go and do something that I don't know anything about? I think I've got lots of room left to go in the beverage industry. And if you want a bit of Coke history, in the 70s, coming out of the 70s, in various moments of our history, we've kind of concluded maybe there isn't growth in the beverages and gone off and did other things. So in the 70s, we bought Columbia Pictures, we had Sterling Vineyards, we had shrimp farms, all sorts of exotic things. And then we realized there was a lot more growth in the beverage industry, and we sold them all, and we had 20 years of success by focusing on beverages. So beverages are the great business. We're going to stick to our knitting.
Okay, yeah. Shrimp, whose idea was that? James, it's great to have you. We thank you very much. And as we say, what you think the name could be, he said, Original Taste. Possible. That's long on the label, though. That's long. That's a long label.
It's long. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
You'll find out soon.
Let's see. And please come back.